You are standing at the edge of something that doesn't appear on any shelf. A presence that doesn't belong to paper or ink, but to timing itself. Most people never meet it, not because they're unworthy, but because the current of their awareness hasn't yet reached the depth where this kind of knowing lives. There is a teaching that moves like water through existence, finding its own level, revealing itself only when the mind grows still enough to hear its signal. You didn't stumble here by accident. Something in you adjusted, ever so slightly, to the frequency that calls this message forward. The ancients understood that. They wrote not to inform, but to awaken, embedding within their stories hidden mechanisms meant to turn only when the reader's inner geometry aligned. Every myth, every fable, was a device designed to meet the precise vibration of whoever could finally unlock it. This isn't mysticism masquerading as wisdom. It's the quiet physics of consciousness. The universe is less a vending machine dispensing results, and more a vast transmitter of frequencies. What arrives in your reality depends on how you're tuned. Most people keep demanding the cosmos change its station, never realizing the dial is in their own hands. Knowledge doesn't chase you because you're searching. It appears because you've synchronized. The same way a book or a teacher once found you exactly when your heart had stretched enough to understand. This moment too has found you. The universe is not withholding anything. It's waiting for the version of you capable of holding everything. That moment, the one where something suddenly clicks, isn't coincidence. It's calibration. What felt like revelation is really recognition. The meeting point between your expanded perception and a signal that was always broadcasting, waiting for your frequency to stabilize. Imagine the universe as an infinite radio tower. Every potential version of your life, every hidden truth, every answer you've ever chased, exists on one of its countless channels. The dial you hold is consciousness itself. When your thoughts, emotions, and energy align, you tune into a new wavelength, and suddenly, what was noise becomes music. You've experienced this before without realizing it. A sentence in a forgotten book once sent chills through you. A stranger's words echoed something you'd felt for years but never articulated. That spark, that strange familiarity, it wasn't new information entering your system. It was dormant wisdom reawakening. You didn't learn something, you remembered it. Recognition is memory surfacing from beyond time. It's how awareness reclaims its inheritance from the field of possibility. Think of infrared light. It surrounds you constantly, yet your eyes can't perceive it without a new lens. The unseen doesn't become real only when you see it. It becomes visible because you've evolved to perceive it. Consciousness works the same way. The unseen aspects of your reality, opportunities, insights, healing pathways, aren't hiding. Your awareness simply hasn't expanded to include them yet. And here's the twist that dissolves a lifetime of struggle. The universe is not testing you. It's teaching you how to tune. Each disappointment, each delay, each strange detour is a feedback loop guiding you closer to coherence. You aren't being punished for being off frequency. You're being invited to refine your signal. The mind loves to complicate this. It asks, how do I know if I'm aligned? But alignment isn't a mood. It's a signature, an energetic harmony between your thoughts and your deeper knowing. When you're aligned, effort feels like flow, and uncertainty feels less like threat and more like adventure. You breathe differently. You notice differently. Life begins to echo your internal rhythm instead of resisting it. Pause for a breath. Right now, where does your attention live? Is it tangled in worry, in replayed scenes of the past, in imagined futures that never quite arrive? That's static. Every unresolved emotion, every unexamined belief is a distortion in the signal. Recognition begins the moment you notice the noise and choose silence instead. Not the silence of withdrawal, but the silence of presence, the pause between heartbeats where reality waits for your awareness to meet it halfway. There's a reason ancient mystics spoke of seeing with new eyes. They weren't speaking about vision, but vibration. The lens of perception is polished by stillness, not striving. The more you chase clarity, the further it recedes, because chasing affirms separation. Recognition erases it. This is why your breakthroughs never arrive through intensity alone. You can meditate for hours, chant, affirm, journal, and still feel nothing shift, because the act of trying reinforces the belief that you are not already connected. But the instant you surrender the chase, the transmission floods in, like adjusting a radio knob until static gives way to symphony. A single microshift in awareness collapses infinite noise into one lucid tone. Recognition is that tone. It's the moment you stop fighting what is and start listening to what's always been. You may wonder, how do you sustain that frequency? The secret is rhythm, consistency of awareness, not perfection of practice. Every time you return to presence, every time you pause before reacting, every time you breathe through an old fear instead of feeding it, you reinforce coherence. Eventually, you stop visiting alignment and start living there. This is where transformation begins to accelerate. You no longer seek signs, they appear naturally. You no longer demand proof, your life becomes it. The universe doesn't change its language, you learn to hear it. And when that happens, something miraculous unfolds. What once looked like random coincidence starts forming constellations of meaning. What once felt fragmented begins to reveal its pattern. And in that realization, a door opens to a marketplace unlike any on earth, where readiness itself is the currency. That door swings open not with effort, but with resonance. On the other side lies a marketplace that shimmers between the seen and the unseen, a place where nothing is bought, yet everything is exchanged. You can almost hear it before you see it, a hum in the air, a rhythm older than language itself. In this marketplace stands a woman named Jessica. Her table is covered with artifacts that defy description, bowls that glow without flame, mirrors that reflect potential instead of appearance, rings woven from the quiet longing of forgotten dreams. Every traveler who enters wants what she carries. But there's a strange law at work here the unready cannot buy. Coins turn to ash in her hand, gold crumbles to dust. No transaction holds unless the one who reaches for the treasure has matched its vibration. For years, Jessica believes she's cursed, a failed merchant peddling illusions. Yet each evening, she feels something in her chest, a pulse, an intuition whispering, wait. And then, one night, a wanderer arrives. His eyes are weathered, his hands empty. He doesn't come to bargain, he comes because something in him has been quietly calling for this place. When his gaze lands on a simple copper bowl, the air itself shifts. A low hum rises not from the object, but from within him. He lifts the bowl and the space around them trembles with recognition. This was never about purchase, it was reunion. Jessica watches as the impossible happens. The man offers payment, and for the first time, the coins remain solid in her palm. The bowl has found its rightful holder. The curse dissolves, replaced by understanding so profound it unravels her old identity. Her goods were never refusing to be sold. They were refusing to be sold to the unready. Here's what the parable is showing you. The universe operates on the economics of resonance, not scarcity. Nothing real can be taken before its time, and nothing meant for you can pass you by once your frequency matches it. When you are not ready, even abundance feels like burden. Opportunities appear and vanish because your awareness cannot yet hold their weight. But when readiness ripens, reality bends to meet you. The treasures of existence rush toward the consciousness capable of carrying them. Think of the copper bowl as every blessing that once eluded you, relationships that never took root, dreams that stayed in blueprint, ideas that vanished before expression. They were not rejections, they were rehearsals, invitations waiting for the right resonance. Each time you grew, each time you shed a layer of fear or control. The bowl hummed a little louder. Jessica's awakening mirrors your own. The merchant and the seeker are not separate characters. They're two aspects of your consciousness. One holds the gifts, the other learns to receive. Readiness is the bridge that lets them meet. You might be wondering, how do you recognize when your consciousness has reached that threshold? It feels less like excitement and more like peace. You stop grasping. The noise of, "I must have it now," fades into the knowing of if it's mine, it will arrive. From that stillness, life reorganizes itself. This is what true manifestation looks like, not forcing the universe to comply, but becoming the vibration that makes compliance inevitable. The universe doesn't reward effort, it mirrors coherence. And so, each time you let go of what isn't aligned, you clear the market stall of your own soul. The treasures that once hid behind the veil start to shimmer into view, waiting for your recognition. They were never out of reach, only out of resonance. So take a breath and imagine yourself in Jessica's place. The marketplace is your life. The treasures are your possibilities. Every shimmering object is already yours, waiting for the frequency of your readiness to activate it. When you grasp this, not intellectually but energetically, you realize you've been both merchant and traveler all along. And the moment you recognize that truth, the hum begins again, calling you deeper into the forge where resonance becomes transformation. That hum follows you from the marketplace into the valley below, where the air glows red with heat and the scent of iron lingers like memory. You hear the rhythmic pulse of hammer against metal steady, unrelenting, a blacksmith shaping reality itself. This is Brandon's forge, the crucible where effort meets surrender. Brandon was known throughout the kingdoms as the master of force. His arms carried the strength of mountains, his hammers the authority of thunder. For decades, he believed mastery meant domination, bend the world to your will, and it will yield. Yet one morning, something broke. His hammer shattered against a piece of iron that refused to change, no matter how much heat, pressure, or persistence he applied. He tried again and again, and each attempt met silence, as if the metal itself were waiting for him to stop. Exhausted, he collapsed beside the dying forge. That night, in the half-light between waking and dream, he heard a voice not from outside, but from within the metal itself. "Your force creates resistance. Your surrender reveals my form." When he awoke, the message burned in his mind like an ember that wouldn't go out. So he tried something radical. He approached the same piece of iron, not as a conqueror, but as a partner. He listened not with ears, but with intuition for its rhythm. He felt where it wanted to bend, where it resisted, where it whispered, "Not yet." This time, the metal responded. It flowed into shape effortlessly, as though relieved to finally be seen. From that day forward, Brandon's creations defied physics. His blades cut not through matter, but through illusion. His shields absorbed not arrows, but fear. Travelers came from across the desert to learn his secret. And all he would say was this: "I no longer make the metal obey. I help it remember what it wants to become." Now pause, feel that. How much of your life has been spent at war with what is trying to force outcomes, to hammer circumstances into obedience, believing that if you just push harder, things will finally align. But have you noticed that the harder you fight, the more resistance you encounter? Effort without attunement is friction. Surrender is not passivity, it's precision. It's the realization that control and creation are not the same. True creation is cooperation with what's already unfolding. When you stop demanding and start listening. When you treat reality not as raw material to be conquered, but as a living intelligence to be understood, everything changes. Your relationships soften, your timing sharpens. Even your body begins to relax into the rhythm of the field. The forge, then, is not a place but a process. Every moment you release control, you step into that fire. Every breath that replaces panic with presence is a blow of the hammer guided by something larger than ego. And as the iron of your identity heats and bends, new shapes emerge lighter, stronger, truer. To surrender is to trust that the intelligence shaping galaxies is capable of shaping your life. It doesn't mean abandoning direction, it means merging intention with awareness. You act, but you no longer act alone. The universe moves through you instead of around you. This is what Brandon discovered, that power isn't the ability to force reality into submission, it's the willingness to participate in its unfolding. He didn't lose mastery when he stopped forcing. He became it. So tonight, as you lay your head down, imagine yourself beside that forge, the air warm, the glow steady. Place your worries, your plans, your need to control into the flame, not to destroy them, but to temper them. Watch them soften, reshape, and return to you refined. Because the secret isn't to conquer life's metal, it's to remember that you are the fire that gives it form. From the glow of the forge rises a deeper realization, one that dissolves the illusion of waiting. You've been taught that timing is an external clock, that destiny operates on some distant schedule you must chase. But the universe doesn't tick, it breathes. And every inhale and exhale of that cosmic breath carries one message: you are not late. Consider how fruit ripens. You can't pull an apple into sweetness through impatience. Sunlight, temperature, and time weave together invisible threads until one day, the fruit simply is ready. If you pick it too soon, it's bitter. Too late, it's lost. But when it's perfect, it requires no effort at all. It yields willingly. Sacred timing follows the same law. It's not something you control, it's something you harmonize with. Every delay that frustrated you wasn't punishment, it was protection. Every detour you cursed was preparation. Every closed door was the universe ensuring you wouldn't step into a version of success that your nervous system wasn't yet strong enough to hold. And maybe you already know this somewhere deep in your bones. Remember the times when something appeared at precisely the right moment, when you stumbled across a message, a person, or a realization that arrived so perfectly you could almost feel the gears of reality aligning. That's not luck. That's resonance revealing its schedule. The forge of surrender and the marketplace of readiness operate on the same law. Consciousness ripens at its own pace. The mind demands results, but the soul obeys rhythm. What looks like delay is actually the calibration of that rhythm. The universe never withholds, it waits until your field is stable enough to sustain what's being given. Here's the paradox: the more you rush, the more you slow the unfolding, because rushing signals disbelief. It tells the field, I don't trust the timing of my own becoming. And the field, being perfectly obedient, mirrors that uncertainty back to you as more waiting, more friction, more missed signals. When you release the narrative of lateness, you reclaim the peace that makes miracles visible. Suddenly, synchronicities multiply. Opportunities that seemed impossible weeks ago start weaving into your path. Why? Because you've stepped out of resistance and into readiness. You've stopped demanding that reality bend to your will and started remembering that your will and reality are extensions of the same current. Think again of Brandon's forge. The hammer that shattered was time itself refusing to obey your impatience. When you align with timing rather than fight it, the metal bends with grace. The same applies to life. The events that once resisted you aren't obstacles, they're teachers waiting for you to match their lesson's vibration. So what do? While you wait, you don't wait. You prepare. You refine your frequency. You practice the state of being you believe will come after your desire manifests, until it becomes your default before it does. That's how readiness collapses time, because in truth, readiness and timing are the same phenomenon viewed from different angles. The moment you are ready, the universe calls it now. And when now arrives, it doesn't knock softly, it floods. The synchronicities that once came as whispers become thunderclaps of alignment. You'll meet the right person at the coffee shop, stumble onto the exact sentence that shifts your perspective. Watch as long-held dreams unfold with eerie precision. Not because the universe finally noticed you, but because you finally noticed the universe had been preparing you all along. Every missed opportunity was a rehearsal. Every unanswered prayer was a seed waiting for your soil to mature. You are, and have always been, precisely on schedule. From this realization, another paradox begins to surface: the truth that even seeking itself can become a form of delay. And what happens when you stop searching altogether is the next layer of the mystery. You've reached the edge where timing dissolves into stillness. The moment the mind stops asking, "When will it happen?" a deeper question emerges: who is doing the seeking? Every search, every quest, every spiritual climb has carried an unspoken assumption that what you want lives somewhere outside of you. But what if that's the very illusion that keeps it hidden? For ages, seekers have crossed deserts, scaled mountains, joined orders, memorized doctrines, all chasing a secret they already held. The sages who left their names etched in myth were not chosen because they searched harder. They were chosen because they stopped searching. The moment they ceased striving, the treasure revealed itself as if it had been hiding in plain sight. Seeking is beautiful in its beginning. It awakens hunger. It teaches discernment. It breaks complacency. But the longer you live inside its momentum, the more it turns from compass to cage. Every act of seeking whispers a quiet lie I do not yet have. That vibration, however noble, tells the universe to withhold, to keep the treasure slightly out of reach, so the game continues. Recognition ends the game. When you stop running after truth and start standing still enough to see it, you realize the distance between seeker and sought never existed. The mirror and the reflection were always one. Think of Jessica's marketplace again. How many travelers walked past those tables, desperate for something to fill the ache of becoming? They searched with ferocity, but their intensity blurred their vision. They saw only trinkets, never the transmission, only the traveler who had exhausted every road, who had emptied himself of striving, could finally see, not because the bowl had changed, but because he had. You too have walked those roads. You've read the books, listened to the teachers, repeated the mantras. All of it served a purpose: to wear out the part of you that believes fulfillment is somewhere else. Every unanswered question has been sculpting your readiness to recognize what was always here. There's a Zen teaching that captures this paradox. A student once asked his master how long enlightenment would take. 10 years, said the master. The student pressed. What if I work twice as hard, then 20 years? The harder you push toward awakening, the further you drift from it, because pushing assumes separation. The truth is, awakening happens not through effort, but through permission. You don't conquer awareness, you allow it. It's the moment you exhale completely, the instant you stop bracing for revelation and let life speak in its own rhythm. Then what you were chasing turns around and finds you. This isn't passivity. It's participation at a higher octave. The seeker who stops searching doesn't become apathetic, they become attuned. They move through life alert but ungrasping, curious but unburdened. They understand that every conversation, every challenge, every quiet morning carries the same sacred potential. Nothing is ordinary once you stop expecting the extraordinary to arrive later. Here's the paradox simplified. Searching keeps you hungry. Recognition keeps you whole. Seeking says, someday. Recognition says, now. Seeking is motion without arrival. Recognition is stillness that moves everything. You can feel it even now, can't you? That subtle shift inside the loosening of tension. The slow exhale that says, maybe I've been home all along. That's not resignation, it's remembrance. The journey you thought would end at the top of some mountain ends in the center of your own chest. And as that truth lands, the entire architecture of effort begins to tremble. The temples of becoming start to dissolve, revealing the open sky of being. In that sky, you notice something written in light, the realization that the teachings were never external texts, but internal translations. Which brings us to the next revelation. If the book you've been seeking has always been inside you, then perhaps your life itself is the scripture you were meant to read. The realization lands quietly, like dust settling after a storm. The book you've been searching for was never bound by paper. It has been breathing through you, written in the ink of every decision, every heartbreak, every impossible victory. You have been both the author and the reader, tracing the letters of your own becoming with each breath. Look back for a moment, not with nostalgia, but with new eyes. Every event that once seemed random now arranges itself into chapters. The failures you resented become footnotes to wisdom. The loves you lost become verses of expansion. Even the silence between moments begins to read like sacred punctuation, guiding the rhythm of your story. When the mystics spoke of divine revelation, they weren't referring to something falling from the heavens. They were describing this intimate unveiling of self-awareness. The true scripture isn't a text you find. It's a field that blooms within you the instant you start paying attention. Imagine your consciousness as a vast manuscript written in invisible ink. Its pages exist, but they only appear when touched by light. Every new realization, every act of forgiveness, every moment you choose trust over fear, it's light. And as it falls across your inner pages, words that were once hidden ignite into clarity. Most people never see this unfolding because they're too busy looking outward for meaning. They treat their lives like disconnected fragments instead of sacred literature in progress. But once you begin reading your own field, you realize nothing was wasted. Even the mistakes were metaphors. Even the pain had purpose, shaping the sentences of who you've become. There's a technology embedded in consciousness, an auto-updating archive that keeps rewriting itself as you evolve. Every time you learn something new, the earlier chapters of your life rearrange to fit the higher truth. That means your past isn't fixed, it's alive. When you change, the meaning of every old event changes with you. That's how healing actually works. It's revision, not erasure. The question then is not what does life mean, but what meaning am I willing to see? Because the story reveals itself in proportion to your willingness to interpret it through love instead of fear, through curiosity instead of judgment. Close your eyes for a breath and feel this inside your chest, beneath thought. There's a pulse, a subtle rhythm that has never once ceased. That rhythm is the punctuation of your living scripture, reminding you that each moment is a sentence still being written. You don't have to know the ending. You just have to keep turning the page. Here's the paradox of this inner book the more you read. the more it reads you. As awareness expands, the text responds, offering new insights that were invisible before. It's as though consciousness itself waits for your comprehension before unlocking the next passage. That's why certain truths only appear after heartbreak, or only bloom after surrender. They require the ink of experience to make them legible. This is what the ancients meant by initiation. Not a ceremony in a temple, but the awakening that happens when life itself initiates you into deeper reading. The test was never about obedience, it was about perception. Could you see the sacred in the ordinary? Could you recognize the code written in chaos? You may realize now that the universe has been highlighting sections of your story for years, sending you synchronicities, repeating themes, patterns that appear like underlined sentences. It's been saying, read here, pause here, learn this line before you move forward. The hidden text isn't waiting to be published, it's waiting to be acknowledged. The moment you do, you stop chasing wisdom and start embodying it. You become both message and messenger, both the prayer and the answered call. And from this inner reading arises the next threshold, the shift from studying readiness to living it, from performing openness to truly receiving. The moment you realize the book was never outside you, something subtle shifts. You stop pretending to be ready. You start being ready. It's a different vibration, entirely quiet, grounded, untheatrical. A truth that doesn't need to announce itself. Most people never reach this point because they confuse readiness with performance. They think being prepared means having the right rituals, the right mindset, the right words to say when the universe checks in. They decorate their altars but forget to open their hearts. They build the posture of surrender but still grip control beneath the surface. You know that version of yourself, the one who tried to impress life into giving you what you wanted, who meditated not for peace but for results, who practiced gratitude like a password instead of a prayer. That's not readiness. That's negotiation, and the universe doesn't negotiate, it mirrors. When you perform readiness, your energy whispers, "I'm almost enough." When you embody readiness, it declares, "I already am." The difference isn't visible to the eye, but it's unmistakable to the field. The universe reads vibration, not vocabulary. Think back to the traveler in Jessica's marketplace. What made the bowl hum wasn't his words or his actions. It was the authenticity of his being, the quiet exhaustion of someone who had finally stopped pretending. His emptiness was his key. His honesty was his frequency. To receive is to stop faking your light and start trusting your shadow, because readiness isn't about perfection, it's about wholeness. The field doesn't respond to who you're trying to be, it responds to who you actually are. Every unhealed part of you that you're willing to see becomes an antenna for grace. This is where transformation becomes paradoxical again. The moment you stop striving to ascend, you rise naturally. The instant you stop forcing your heart open, it unfolds. Readiness is the art of unblocking what's already flowing. So how do you practice real readiness? You don't. You allow. You begin noticing where in your life you've been performing, where your smile hides tension, where your affirmations mask fear, where your prayers are still laced with doubt, and instead of correcting those things, you simply witness them. That witnessing is enough. Consciousness, when brought to illusion, dissolves it without force. There's power in saying the simplest words, "I am ready," not as a command to the universe, but as a statement of truth. Feel how those syllables vibrate when you speak them without expectation. If resistance arises, let it. The friction isn't failure, it's feedback. It shows you where the next clearing wants to happen. Readiness isn't about deserving more, it's about resisting less. Every time you drop a layer of defense, the universe steps closer. Every time you let your guard down long enough to feel life fully, you create the conditions for what's been circling you to finally land. You've probably noticed this pattern the moment you stop trying to make something happen. It suddenly does. The call comes through, the door opens, the opportunity appears. That's not irony, it's physics. Energy flows where there's no obstruction. To live in that flow is to realize that manifestation is not a performance, but a partnership. You don't command the universe like a servant. You collaborate with it like a lover. It's an exchange of honesty for grace. When you live this way, reality reorganizes quietly. The people you meet, the timing of events, even your own thoughts begin to harmonize with your deeper state. The field stops testing you and starts trusting you. So breathe and feel the shift from acting to allowing. You are not here to prove your worthiness. You are here to demonstrate your alignment. The universe doesn't need your performance, it needs your presence. And as presence deepens, something miraculous unfolds. Readiness stops being a state you enter and becomes the air you live in, which leads us to the collective moment, the realization that this readiness isn't yours alone, but part of a greater resonance gathering strength across the world. That air you breathe, the quiet hum of readiness, isn't yours alone, it's shared. A subtle network linking every heart that's ever whispered, "I'm open now." Each time one person awakens to presence, the signal strengthens, expanding like ripples through consciousness. What begins as a personal shift becomes a planetary one. Picture this: thousands of unseen threads of light stretching across continents, connecting strangers who will never meet, but are tuning to the same frequency. Some meditate, some pray, some simply pause before reacting, and yet the effect is identical. Every act of awareness contributes to a collective field that hums with possibility. You've felt it before, that sudden sense of calm when you read someone's words online and think, "Yes, that's exactly what I've been feeling." Or when a friend speaks your private thoughts aloud. That's the resonance field revealing itself, the universe demonstrating that awakening is contagious. But here's the hidden truth: resonance doesn't amplify through belief. It amplifies through embodiment. When you live what you know, your frequency becomes evidence that draws others into coherence. That's how movements are born, not through persuasion, but through vibration. So imagine what happens when hundreds of thousands of people simultaneously shift from seeking to receiving. The collective field becomes luminous with readiness. It's as though the human species stops broadcasting static and starts transmitting a steady tone of recognition we remember. This is not wishful mysticism. It's observable. Science might call it morphic resonance or shared neural coherence. Mystics call it prayer in motion. Either way, it's the same principle: consciousness multiplies through reflection. The moment one candle lights another, both burn brighter without losing anything. When you declare, "I am ready," and someone across the world feels that declaration echo in their own chest, a bridge forms. On that bridge, miracles move faster. Synchronicities multiply because the collective network reduces resistance for everyone connected to it. One person's surrender becomes another's permission. One person's peace becomes another's possibility. This is why your personal transformation matters more than you realize. Every time you choose alignment over anxiety, you contribute to the stabilization of the field. Each act of presence is a calibration point in the human grid. You're not just healing yourself, you're fine-tuning the entire instrument of consciousness. Think of how radio waves overlap. A single transmitter can't cover an entire planet, but a network of synchronized signals can. Each human being who embodies readiness becomes a node in that network, extending the range of coherence until eventually the noise collapses and the planet hums in harmony. The collective field doesn't demand perfection, it only asks for participation. You don't need to become a teacher or a leader to contribute. You simply need to live your truth transparently enough that your energy becomes legible to the field. Authenticity is the only offering the universe accepts. This is why isolation is an illusion. Even when you feel alone in your awakening, you are resonating within a vast chorus of unseen allies. Somewhere, someone you'll never meet is finding courage because you chose stillness instead of panic. The field carries that signal. It remembers your choice. Take a moment to sense that now. Breathe in and imagine that the air itself is charged with readiness. Every inhale filled with millions of quiet yeses rising from hearts across the globe. When you exhale, your breath joins theirs, amplifying the chorus. We are building a frequency architecture together, one choice at a time. The more of us who live as if the universe is responsive, the faster it proves us right. And as this collective readiness intensifies, an ancient pattern begins to unfold, a collapse not of destruction, but of transformation, where everything false in us gives way to everything true. That collective hum becomes the undertone of transformation, a vibration so deep it begins to shake loose everything that no longer resonates. And this, friend, is where it gets uncomfortable, because readiness does not arrive without consequence. The moment you attune to a higher frequency, everything in you that vibrates at an older one begins to fall apart. The collapse isn't punishment, it's purification. It's the moment the caterpillar dissolves in its cocoon, not dying, but reorganizing into wings. Most people interpret this phase as chaos. They think they're losing themselves, when in truth, they're shedding the versions that can't survive the new frequency. You'll notice it first in subtle ways. The conversations that once fascinated you feel hollow. The habits that used to numb you lose their flavor. The places you frequented seem to echo with absence. It's not that the world has changed, it's that your resonance has. You're no longer magnetized to what drains your energy. At first, this disorientation feels like loss. You may grieve the old stories, the familiar dramas, the identities that defined you. But underneath that grief lies the quiet recognition that you asked for this. Readiness always triggers release. You cannot hold new consciousness in old containers. And so, the universe begins its gentle demolition. Structures crumble not because they were evil, but because they were complete. Relationships shift to higher truth or dissolve into gratitude. Jobs that once felt safe become invitations to leap. Even your body, that loyal vessel, starts recalibrating, shedding tension, rewriting its rhythms. If you resist, the process becomes painful. If you surrender, it becomes liberation. The only difference is trust. Remember Brandon's forge. The iron didn't break because it was weak. It melted because the heat had arrived. The same fire that destroys the form reveals the essence. When your old self begins to collapse, hold it the way Brandon held his metal, gently, reverently, without forcing it to keep a shape it's outgrown. This collapse is evidence that your frequency has changed faster than your circumstances can update. The field is catching up to you. The identity you've inhabited, its fears, its strategies, its defenses was designed for a smaller bandwidth of reality. Now that architecture can't contain the current running through you, so don't cling. Let the dismantling do its work. Each fragment that falls away frees energy once trapped in maintenance. What feels like death is actually redistribution, the reinvestment of your life force into a higher configuration. You'll know you're on the right track when peace begins to replace panic, even in uncertainty, when silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling full, when the old desires dissolve and a new clarity rises, one that doesn't come from ambition, but from recognition. You no longer ask, "What should I do?" You simply sense, "This is what wants to happen through me." That is the birth of alignment, when doing flows from being, when creation becomes participation. And just as Jessica's marketplace existed to test readiness, and Brandon's forge revealed surrender, this collapse becomes your initiation into mastery. The universe isn't destroying you, it's tuning you for deeper coherence. You are not being tested to prove worth, you are being refined to express truth. Soon, you'll notice that what remains after the fall isn't ruin but radiance. The walls of identity crumble, and behind them stands the vastness you always suspected was there, the unshakable awareness that outlives every role. This is the moment of completion, the turning of the page. The seeker has become the found, the student has become the field. And what waits beyond this point is not an ending, but the silence that births the next creation. Because when the old self collapses, what rises is not a new persona, it's presence itself. And presence has no opposite, no enemy, no end. The dust settles. The hum that once roared now softens into silence. A silence so alive it feels like breathing with the universe itself. This is the space after the storm, where you realize that what collapsed was never you. It was the scaffolding around you. The identity that worked so hard to prove readiness finally bows, and in its place stands something still, vast, and deeply familiar. You may notice the air feels lighter. Choices that once required effort now happen through you, not from you. Life begins to move in rhythm with your awareness, like tide following moonlight. This is what happens when the self stops fighting its own expansion. The universe doesn't need to be convinced anymore, it recognizes its reflection in you. If you listen closely, you'll hear the same tone that rang through Jessica's marketplace, the same resonance that melted Brandon's forge, the sound of alignment, the hum of yes. It's the same vibration that has been calling you since the beginning, disguised as longing, disguised as curiosity, disguised as the search itself. Now, it's no longer a call. It's a conversation. You and the universe are speaking fluently again. Every moment becomes feedback. Every experience becomes dialogue. And with each breath, you are both reading and writing the next chapter of your becoming. This is the quiet victory of readiness. It doesn't demand applause. It doesn't need proof. It simply lives, aware of its own coherence. So as you step forward from this moment, let the collapse remain sacred. Don't rush to rebuild. Let the space breathe you open. The next form will arrive naturally, sculpted by resonance rather than resistance. Trust that the timing will always match your vibration, that the next teacher, the next opportunity, the next revelation will find you as effortlessly as this message did. And if you ever forget, return to the simplest truth whispered throughout this entire transmission. You were never waiting for the universe to deliver anything. The universe was waiting for you to remember who you are. You are ready. You've always been ready. Welcome home.